Se acercó una muchacha y me dice, ¿qué te pasa? ¿Por qué lloras? Le digo, es que la verdad, yo ando aquí y no sé para dónde ir, no sé para dónde voy. Y ando con mi hijo y lo que me duele es verlo a él ahí, él lloraba, que me decía que tenía hambre.
22-year-old Ada fled her home country in Central America with her son Brian after gangs started to threaten her and demanded she pay a war tax. The country Ada fled from cannot be named for her own protection. The region is among the most violent in the world.
Me golpeaban igual, me gritaban groserías, luego que el impuesto de guerra, que yo no sabía que tenía que pagar impuesto de guerra. Lo único que le pedía a Dios, que no se abriera la puerta, el niño bien asustado, el niño me gritaba, mami, llorando. Yo sé que si yo abría la puerta me podían ultrajarme a mí o me le podían hacer daño al niño, solamente para cobrarse lo que es el impuesto de guerra.
Ada decided to make the dangerous journey to Mexico.
Y tomé una mochila, eché lo que pude y salí. Yo salí a las 3 de la mañana. Salí y me escondí en esa caseta. El niño tenía bastante frío.
Alone, she begged for food during the day and hid in the bushes at night. In recent years, tens of thousands have fled the North Triangle of Central America, seeking asylum from the region's rampant crime and gang violence.
O conmigo, que me podían. Ellos cuando les deben el impuesto de guerra, ellos a veces, si son mujeres, las ultrajan o las hacen sus mujeres para que, entonces, la verdad yo no quería eso. Yo he trabajado muy duro para que al final me pase eso.
These high figures are not just figures. Behind each one of these 65 million people is a story of fear, of dispossession, of exile, and of hopelessness. We need not to forget that. We need to remember that, to draw from that awareness that these are human beings with human stories. We need to draw from that awareness a renewed sense that we need to tackle this all together, that none of us is exempt from that responsibility.
Susanna says that she will die from sorrow. Months ago, she watched in horror as anti-government militia in Burundi violently tore her family apart.
Urumva nyine hageze saa sita abana bavuye mu ishuri baje kuruhuka badusanga turi mu rugo ngiye guhiga ibyo kurya ndabaha hanyuma basoda usanga bakikije bose babatemagurira mu nzu ise we Mariya bamutemesha ishoka mu gahanga kugira ngo ahwane sanga ni imibyimba gusa. Bantu barindwi bose unye n'agahinda kari mu kunyica no gusanduka abasaba abana nabo.
The violent acts weren't solely attributed to anti-government militia. Manasseh, a hospital pharmacist, was arrested by Burundi's pro-government forces. He still bears the scars of his torturous 3-month stay in prison.
Hanyuma intuzo yamaze kugira baca bakubita mwimbugita ya ntuze barambanga kunyama imwimi.
more than 270,000 people have fled to neighboring countries, particularly Tanzania, DRC, and Rwanda, and that flow hasn't ended because the internal conflict in Burundi continues to be the cause of internal and especially external displacement. All this to say that Africa is and remains the theater of some of the largest refugee situations in the world. Unfortunately, it has not received enough attention. Funding of our operations in Africa continues to be very low. It is important that the same attention that is put in trying to address politically either crisis is exercised also in Africa, because in the end, like everywhere else, you need to make peace in order to find a way forward for these millions of refugees and displaced.
I'm not sure how many years it will take till we eliminate conflict. That would be a long time. I'm hopeful that we'll make some difference. It may not be a huge difference right away. We won't see a lot of difference coming quickly, but we can at least set the grounds for people thinking about refugees and migrants in a different way, accepting them more easily and readily.
On the Greek island of Samos, volunteers like Gabby are helping refugees who arrive on shore near their home after fleeing conflicts abroad.
And then we rush down to here, grab our emergency bags, what includes diapers, the clothes what I'm fixing, milk and juice for the children.
Slow, slow!
Ready. This extreme situation shows the weird character of somebody. There were some people who just stood there at the harbor, mostly old ladies, and just cried when they saw all these wet small children. Some of the people, I think, act aggressive because they cannot actually do what they want. So when I take these people and say, please just keep this baby warm, you have not to give me anything, just keep these children when they come, because they have to be safe, they have to have the feeling that somebody's there, it's actually very sweet, because I can give something.
Talk about their needing safety and dignity. You know, they need to have a journey that's safe. They need to arrive somewhere and be welcomed rather than resisted, you know, and pushed back. But they also need to have what we're calling inclusion. As soon as they get somewhere, they need to know that just that they're welcome, but they can begin to learn the language, they can be offered a job, can be offered some skills training or education or a scholarship. That's the kind of thing we're trying to mobilize.
In Sao Paulo, Brazil, Talal and his family have found this inclusion thanks to the country's open-door policies. Talal's family fled Syria to Lebanon in 2013, but he wanted to seek more opportunities abroad. Determined to avoid a dangerous sea crossing, Talal found another way: Brazil's humanitarian visa program for Syrian refugees.
O governo do Brasil abre portas, então, e com certeza, não vai chegar ao Brasil, o governo, você não pode entrar, porque você abre portas para mim.
Once they arrived, Talal raised money through crowdfunding to start a new business. Brazilians donated $20,000 to their cause. His wife Ghazal now cooks for their thriving catering business, offering up Syrian dishes. With more help, Talal is already at work setting up his new restaurant.
O povo brasileiro me ajudou muito, muito. Agora, com a ajuda do brasileiro, continuo a minha vida aqui no Brasil e eu começou meu novo negócio aqui no Brasil também. Por isso eu gosto do Brasil.
Seven or eight countries host more than half the refugees in the world. And likewise, 7 or 8 countries provide more than half of the funding to help the refugees and displaced. This is not a sustainable situation, especially with the problem becoming so big and complex. Remember, refugees are not just the responsibility of a few receiving countries or of a few donors. They're a collective responsibility. If you read the Refugee Convention in its preamble, which was written 65 years ago, that preamble, like the whole convention, is still very valid today. It says refugees are an international responsibility.